A couple of days later I got a text from the office phone saying that I could have the Monday off. And I'm looking at it thinking, are they on crack or something? Like, are they having a laugh? Went into work the next day and they went, did you get the message we sent? And I'm like, yeah. She went, well, why didn't you reply? I said, well, I didn't think I needed to reply to that. I said, why am I allowed the day off all of a sudden? And it weren't Debbie, it was the lazy one who you know, said it. And she's like, oh, we don't need you because it's not the end of the month, so it's fine as long as you come back in the next day. And I'm like, yeah. So that was the incident. So then when Debbie got me in to go back to work, she basically brought that up and said that I'd shouted, and I got accused of shouting a second time. And because the lazy one and Caroline had said that I'd shouted the second time, they said maybe the first time you didn't shout and we can't pick one person over another, but the second time the lazy one had said you had. I said I didn't. I said I come in and I spoke loudly from the other office, and when I walked in the other room I kept the volume up instead of lowering it. I said, but I didn't shout. Anyway, I apologised to the lazy one that day because Queen Caroline wasn't there because she'd gone off for a meeting with them. I apologised on the Monday when I went in, because when I went in Caroline was there on her own because the lazy one was always late every day, but that was acceptable because she's Abbas's sister. I just said, look, if you think I shouted, I'm sorry, but I didn't shout. I basically didn't lower my voice when I came in the room. I said, I'm not saying it's acceptable, but I didn't shout. I said, if I shouted, you'd definitely know about it because I'm a loud shouter. And I said, look, if there's any problem, if you don't want me to be here, because I do get that feeling, just tell me and I'll leave, it's fine. And then she's like, oh, I can't ask you to leave. I said, but I do think there's an issue with you and me, that you don't want me here for some reason. She said, but they want you here, so there's nothing I can do, which basically, hello? Hello? Hi? Are you coming up or not? There's no food. Come on. Don't knock the camera. Good girl. So basically she didn't want me there. So I went back in and they had forgotten I had the end of the month off. Well, I think I had the last day off, and obviously I finished at 1 on the day before because I drove to Devon. And they were... You are so noisy. Yeah, this video's not about you, but you're going to make it about you, are you? Do you want to talk? Do you? Hey, what are you doing? Make your mind up. Where are you going? Okay. So, they were a bit shocked that I was still taking the time off, but it was booked. And went away, woke up on the first morning, went out, turned my phone on, they'd sent me work. I'd done that work before I left, and they sent me work because they'd messed up what they wanted me to do. So I'm like, great, sat and did some, drove somewhere, did a bit more. I'm getting text messages all day, I'm getting emails. I wanted to just kill myself because it was just like, I'm on holiday, what are you playing at? So I refused to answer anything after, I think it was like 4 o'clock that day. I sent my last reply and they kept coming and I just ignored them. I thought, I'm on holiday. So I went back, and every member of staff, when it's their birthday, they get a present, and they knew it was my birthday and I didn't get anything. You don't get much. The office staff get more than the other staff because obviously we run the business. I didn't get anything, and everyone kept saying, oh, what did you get for your birthday off Debbie and Abbas? And I was like, nothing. And it didn't bother me at first, but then I'd noticed, like, even newbies, like if it was the birthday and they'd only started working there like 5-6 weeks earlier, they were getting something, and I'm like, I'm being underpaid, I'm doing all this work and I'm not getting a present. So I'm like, whatever. And then another thing that they introduced, and this is the reason why I got accused of shouting the second time, is I went into work one day and I walked to my desk, and on this desk they had this timesheet, and if I remember, and I still have a picture, I'll insert it on screen now. And it basically wanted me to fill in everything that I was doing that day. But the way I work is I'll have between 3 and 5 things on the go, because I like to multitask. I like to do a bit of something, do a bit of something else, go back to the first thing, start another thing, go back to the second thing and do that whilst I'm working. So for me to fill that in was ridiculous, so that's why I raised my voice in the other room and walked in, raising my voice and got accused of shouting. So I come back on holiday and I still had to do that, which I thought was a bit of a piss take, to be honest. And they made out that Caroline and the lazy one had the same thing to do, but they never once filled theirs in. So it was basically just me. And I noticed that the lazy one did next to nothing. Queen Caroline was doing the majority of the work for them, but there was not 2 full-time jobs. But not only were they making out it was full-time, they were both constantly making out that they had to work overtime, but it was all just about the money. And because they have that built-up reception desk, when you stand in front of them, you can't see that they're actually not doing any work. And there'd be times where I'd go in to go to the filing cabinet and get things out of the filing cabinet, or put things in the filing cabinet, or go and give stuff to Caroline or to the lazy one. I'd see that they wouldn't even have any work on the screen, or Caroline would have a Word document open with loads of random words on, because when Debbie came in, she'd be there like pretending she was typing stuff. So I soon realised that they were both saying to Debbie and Abbott it were 2 full-time jobs with overtime, but the majority of the time, you know, it was probably maximum 4 hours a day between them. So, and then they were giving me more and more of their work to do. Debbie and Abbott were giving me more and more work to do, but I weren't allowed to do overtime, but they were giving me more than 16 hours worth of work to do a week, and they wanted me to fit it in. So I was just constantly like flat out, and every now and then I'd get a day where I'd be ahead and I'd literally just take the piss for an hour. Like I'd just sit there pretending to work for an hour, because them two were just constantly doing nothing. Caroline would have a mini picnic on the desk. She'd get a plate and she'd put some crisps on, she'd put some chocolate on, and if she found a cake, she'd put a cake on. So it was like a mini buffet always. She was always munching away on the crisps. And then at some point, Caroline decided I was going to answer every single phone call that came in, even though I couldn't answer 70% of the questions. So she said, why don't you start answering the phones? And I'm like, it's not my job. She said, oh, if you want to help me today, answer the phone. So I was like, whatever. Started to answer the phones, didn't I? So what happened was, I'd answer the phone, and some questions I could answer, some I couldn't. Then whoever it was would tell me in detail what they wanted, and I'd try and stop them because I knew I couldn't answer them, and then they'd have to tell whoever I put them through to. So then became the problem was, who do I put them through to? Is it Queen Caroline, or is it the lazy one who's going to want to take this call? Queen Caroline would take 70% of the calls, the lazy one would take the others, but now and then I would put it through to the wrong one. And even though they both could answer the questions, sometimes they'd kick up a bit of a fuss and go, Melanie, why'd you put them through to me? It should have been whoever. And I'm like, but I shouldn't be answering every call. But they was literally making me answer every call, on top of doing like 6 hours working 4 hours, as well as running around after countless people. I'm getting paid piss off for my skills, and them two are just there practically having a holiday every day. So it got too much at one point. I remember one day I'd been answering the phone and it had been a really busy day and it hadn't stopped ringing, and I went to my doctor's that day, and I remember I was sat in reception and I was so stressed out and worked up about work that the phone started ringing. I got up and walked across the reception to answer this phone in the doctor's surgery, and I got to the desk and it suddenly clicked where I was. I was like, oh God, and then I pretended to pick a tissue up and walk back to my seat. And that's what it became, like every phone call I had to answer. And I'm like, and there'd be days where I'd be stood in the other part of the office and like, Melanie, go and answer the phone, and I'm like, I'm now going to have to run through the whole building to answer the phone when you two have got your phones in front of you. And it got to, I remember like quite towards the end, there were times when I was stood in that office part and I didn't even try and move and pick that phone up, because I weren't their secretary, but they had made me their secretary. And I couldn't say anything to Deb because Debbie would flip. Even though I'm manager, I shouldn't be answering the phone calls, and Debbie knows like 70% of those calls are going to be like, they either want someone ringing up with a new package, someone ringing up asking who's going to see them, someone making a complaint about one of the carers, a nurse ringing up or a doctor or someone ringing up. I can't answer the questions because that's not part of my job. So it's a lot of that to deal with. Oh, my dog's led on a bag. She's just done it. She's so cute. So I had all that going on. I still wasn't getting the monthly staff bonus. I was going out my way with everyone. I'd have fully staff members coming in asking me to fill forms in for them. That's nothing to do with the job. And me being me would just fill them in. And then they was having these parties for the people that were being cared for. And I were like giving loads of prizes and gifts and stuff. And well, not that I work there now, but the business had this rule that if anyone goes up above and beyond or gets praised by another member of staff or gets praised by one of the people that we care for, then we either get an instant cash prize or we get bought a present. So constantly people were ringing up going, oh, Melanie's done this, Melanie's done that, like really praising you. Or I would like give all these prizes, like at Christmas I made up all these food hampers for the Christmas party, which I was too ill to attend, thanks to Mr. Tonsillitis. And lots of people going, oh, Melanie's done this, oh, Melanie's coming out with this. Never once got a cash bonus, and I weren't doing it for that, but when everyone else is getting it, you're like thinking, well, why am I not getting it? And then someone got praised. I got a phone call, took it, and they were praising a member of staff, told Debbie she bought this really nice expensive plant in this really nice plant pot, and I was like, I must have took 5 phone calls and put them through to Debbie this week with people who praised me, and I've not got anything. And it was like one reel for the office staff, one reel for the favourite carers, and another reel for me. And I was like telling my dad, and he was like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, well, you're being treated unfairly. They know they've got you cheap. They're taking the piss out of you. But he kept telling me to stick at it. And it was getting too much. I was literally coming home stressed out. I'd do a live video, and then I'd sit there for hours afterwards, and it would feel like 10 minutes because I was so stressed out. And then I'd put off going to bed, and I'd lie down at 3:34 in the morning because I knew when I woke up I'd have to go there. So I'd go there on 2.5 hours sleep, and I'd be tired all day, and then I'd repeat it every single day. I was getting more and more down, and then I caught Queen Caroline's bug because she had it the most of December. She refused to take time off. She was dealing with carers who were then looking after people who have long-term illnesses or at end of life. So she was passing all these bugs around the office. I caught it. Carried on going for 4 days because they needed me to do wages, work out the wages because they pay twice in December because some people can't seem to manage with waiting for the wage. And I was so ill I couldn't attend the Christmas party and ended up in hospital. And it was all because Caroline had this really vicious bug and refused to take the time off work. So I ended up in hospital. I was meant to go back into work on the day after Boxing Day because I actually had to book Christmas and Day off and Boxing Day because apparently we're not allowed bank holidays off. So I booked it off using my holidays, which didn't exist at this point because they'd made me go self-employed. That was another thing, because I took a month off and they thought it was unacceptable that I took a month off and got sick pay, but they don't get the sick. They don't pay the sick pay. It comes out of their employee contribution. So when they pay that for the month, it's deducted what they've paid me in sick pay. And sick pay is crap anyway. It was like 80 quid a week or something like that. It's not worth being sick because it's not even a day's wage. So to punish me, they made me go self-employed 1st of December because I almost didn't do it. And then my dad convinced me to stick with it, and my doctor's telling me to leave, and I'm like... So I was meant to go back on the Wednesday. I was in hospital, and Debbie's like, we need her back in on Friday for wages. And I said to the doctors on the Wednesday, I'm going on tomorrow, because they said I couldn't go till Friday. I said, no, I'm going tomorrow. I'm not staying. I can't stay. I've got to go to work. And the doctor's like, well, we don't want you to go back to work even when we do let you out because you're not well. And I'm like, well, I'm going to have to go back. So I left the hospital on the Thursday, went and saw my doctor. Text Debbie, and I'm like, Debbie, can I start at 11 tomorrow? No, you can't. You've got a lot to do tomorrow. So I had a mini breakdown, Didn't get much sleep, and I was late on purpose. I went in at 9:20 because I didn't care. I was beyond caring. I was like, I'll be late. They had me there till 4:30. A doctor from my surgery was trying to get hold of me to give me pain relief. Couldn't get hold of me. Got hold of my dad. My dad went to see her. She wouldn't give me Oromorph. I had a mini breakdown over not getting Oromorph. Finally got some Oromorph later that night off another doctor. Then I had booked New Year's Day off. I said, can I have New Year's Day off instead of Thursday, because I only did 4 mornings a week, and Debbie agreed. Went in on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Couldn't go in on the Monday. I went in on the Monday, ended up at hospital early hours of Tuesday morning, so obviously couldn't go to work. And I was in and out of hospital that week. I had various appointments. I was sat up there all day one day. I saw a male doctor at my surgery who I've known since I was about 19. Then I saw my normal doctor. Then I had to go back to the hospital one day for a scan. And after my scan I went and saw them. I'm like, I'm really, really unwell. I've now got another condition. I told them what my other condition is. I'm like, I need some leeway regarding work, because I'm coming in here and I'm ill all the time, and because I'm ill, you know, it's putting up my body under all this pressure. My body doesn't know what to do with itself. I can't get well. I'm as unwell as I was at Christmas, minus the tonsillitis. I said, you know, I need some leeway. She's like, well, can you come back to work tomorrow? And I just looked at her like, I've just told you I'm more unwell than I was when I got admitted to hospital at Christmas. I've got this other condition which is really bad, which I've not talked about, and I'm surprised because there was an elephant in the room for a few months on here in videos, and no one spotted it. I'll probably talk about it at some point. Now I'm doing these types of videos. And I just looked at her like I couldn't believe, after what I'd just told her and how much time I'd spent at hospital and the doctors that last few days, she was asking me to go back to work the next day. And I'm like, can I come in on Monday? She's like, oh, can you not come back tomorrow? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've got, like, I could potentially end up back in hospital at weekend. It's up to you. She's like, oh no, I'll come back in Monday. Well, Monday came and I couldn't get up. I just could not get up. Do you know when you're so tired, you just can physically not move your body? My alarm went off and I turned it off, and I don't know why I turned it off, and I turned my phone off and I fell back to sleep. And about 10:30 I woke up and I looked at the clock and I'm like, I'm late for work. And I went, oh, but I turned my phone off. So I walked downstairs and my dad's on the phone to Debbie. Debbie's like, where's Melanie? And my dad went, oh, she could be up at the hospital. I don't know, I've not spoken to her today, which is true, he hadn't. So he said, I'm sure she'll contact you at some point today, but you know she's very unwell. So I was like, I just can't keep doing this. I'm really ill. I'm tired. I just can't keep doing it. I said, I told them the other day, look, I'm really unwell. I can't keep coming in all the time. I need some leeway. And they said I can have it. He said, well, she seemed okay. I said, so I rested for a couple of hours, and then I went, I think I had a doctor's appointment that day, or did I? I know I had an appointment somewhere. So I went to Tesco, bumped into my favourite person from work called Marie, and I said, oh, I've missed work today, I'm really, really exhausted, I'm unwell. I need to contact Debbie at some point. And I went, my phone's off, because I turned it off and I was like, my phone's off. So she presumed my phone had died. And I said, oh, she went, oh, I'm going to the office now, I'll tell Debbie I've seen you. It's just, and I said, just tell her I'll contact her in a little while, I'm going to an appointment. I can't remember where it was now, it could have potentially been the doctor's. So, went to my appointment, went home, and then I texted Debbie and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm exhausted, I'm not well. Do you want me to come in tomorrow? Oh no, I said I'll come in tomorrow. So, didn't get a reply, so I thought, if she didn't want me in tomorrow, she'd reply and say I don't want you in. So, I went in work the next day, and Caroline just looked at me like a piece of shit, like, and she went, where were you yesterday? And I went, I worked well. I said, I told Debbie the other day, I said, you know, I'm thinking of taking like 6 weeks off work. She went, can you afford to do that? I said, Caroline, I'm just so ill and Debbie wants me to keep going, and I've explained to her I need some time out, but you know, I feel like I'm going to have to take time off. So we got to have a job to go to, she said, and I've wound Debbie up anyway, so wait till she comes in. I'm like, right, whatever, you know, I know you don't want me here, but you don't need to make my life difficult. She went, oh, I've had fun winding Debbie up. So I went and sat down and I'm working away, and about 10:30 Debbie come in. Well, normally she comes in and she says morning to other two, puts the kettle on and walks through to me, and she normally comes and says morning to me and asks me how I am, and sometimes I'll have a quick chat and I'll carry on working. Well, she didn't come in, did she? And there were other people in the office, and I thought, well, she's probably just talking to them, and then they left and she come in and she stood by the window messing with the blinds, and she went, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. She went, well, what happened to you yesterday? I went, Debbie, I've explained to you I'm really unwell. You know, I really could have done with having this week off. She went, well, we need you here. I said, but, you know, I'm still ill from Christmas, and I got out of hospital early to come and do what you needed me to do, but I'm ill. I said, I can't, you know, keep going at this rate because I'm severely unwell. I said, they want me to have an operation, they wanted me to stay in, they wanted to readmit me this week, and I wasn't willing for that to happen because A, I don't want to be in hospital, but I have commitments and I've got work, but, you know, I would prefer to work afternoons for the time being. She said, well, you can't do that. She said, you know, you should have contacted me first thing yesterday morning. I said, look, I'm sorry. I didn't think, my phone literally was turned off because I wasn't thinking. I said, I didn't think about it. I'm really sorry. She went, and then she started firing things at me, and I kept answering her. She's like, well, you've got an answer to everything. And I'm there in tears. Like, she's the only one who's made me cry in person for a long time. And I'm like, but I'm ill and I keep explaining it to you. I said, I'm trying my best here and you're giving me all this work, and, you know, it's more than 4 hours work a day, and I'm doing it. I'm doing everything you want me to do. But I am ill, and I've tried to explain it to you. I'm not having a laugh. I'm not messing around. I can show you my hospital letters if you need proof. And she just kept having a go at me, and eventually she calmed down after about 20 minutes of having a go at me. And, you know, there was just this atmosphere there then, and literally it got to 1 o'clock and I logged out the computer and I left. And I was just so stressed out that day, and then I think I filmed a live video and I didn't say too much because I didn't want to say much at the time. And then went in the next day, and it was just an atmosphere instantly, and it was a horrible atmosphere. It wasn't nice, and I said to her, can I work tomorrow? Because I was meant to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, but I was finding that I preferred to work Thursday so I could have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to myself to de-stress a little bit before the week started again, because it was getting too much for me. The nastiness, the comments from Caroline, the lazy one not being very nice, them giving me more and more work, me having to write down every little thing I was doing, answering every phone call that came in. It was just, you know, it was too much. They were giving me too much work to do in the 4 hours, and they weren't being very nice to me. So she was like, oh, I don't know, Abbas might want his computer. I said, but Abbas doesn't come down till the afternoon normally. And she said, alright, you could come in tomorrow. I said, are you sure? Because if I leave today thinking I'm not working Friday, I'm going to make plans. She went, no, it's fine. So when I finished work, I walked out, and from the time it took me from the office door to the car park, which is probably 15-second walk if you're walking slowly, in that short space of time, I decided enough is enough. I'm leaving the job. And it was literally, it was the last straw when she fired off at me on the Tuesday. I'd explained in detail how ill I was. I told her more than she needed to know about my health. And I just asked for a little bit of leeway, and she just went crazy at me, and she had me in tears, and she carried on even though she could see I was in tears. If I made anyone cry, I would instantly back down and I would talk to them calmly, but she'd never done that with me. And I'm sick of Caroline. You know, she knows I can do more than she can, but they worship her for some reason. they go to her with things that I can do and she didn't have a clue about. So then she asks me, or she gets me to do it, and then takes all the credit, and it's just not fair. It's meant to be an office environment, you're meant to be a team, but there was no team. It was just me doing the majority of the work and them getting the rewards, and me just getting crap wages, no holidays, no sick pay, nothing. So it just took that time, and it was the quickest amount of time I've ever made a decision in. But my doctor had been telling me since September, because she knows a lot more than what I've revealed in this video. She knew it was altering my mood, she knew it was affecting my mood, she knew it was making me feel more and more down, and her priority for me is looking after my physical and mental health, and she could see what it was doing to me slowly over time. So I literally left, went shopping, went to my dad, I was like, I'm quitting. And he's like, what? Don't quit. I'm like, they've gone too far. He went, but it's a job. I went, it might be a job, but my mental health is being affected. So he wrote me my resignation letter, brought it home that night, and I went in and I kept thinking, when am I going to do it? And I took my work coat in and I weren't even wearing it, and I hung it up, and I was like, every time I saw someone that day I thought, oh, this is the last time I'm going to see you, because I thought there's no way they're going to want me to work a week's notice, which they insisted that you do. And so when my favourite Marie came in and she left, I was there like in tears. Like, she didn't see me because she'd left. And I was like, I had a little bit of a cry because Marie was my favourite. She always cheered me up. And it was a little bit sad saying bye to her, because when I said bye, I literally meant bye as in, I'm not going to see you again, bye. But she didn't know that. So Debbie come in and I'm thinking, when do I do it? Do I do it when I'm leaving? Like, Debbie was fine with me by this point. So got ready to leave, and then Debbie was making a phone call, and I said, can I give you this? And she went, yeah. Took it off me, and I stood there for a few seconds waiting for her to ask me what it was, and I was going to tell her. Didn't ask me. Walked out. When I walked past the window, I literally ran to my car so fast, reversed, got off the car park really fast because I thought she's going to come out, and she walks faster than I can run. So got to the car park at Tesco, rang my dad, told him I'd done it, told him how I'd done it, and as I'm on the phone to him, he's getting a phone call off Debbie. And I'm thinking, why is Debbie ringing my dad and not me? And he got off the phone to me, and he took her call, and then I went to the office to see him, and he went, she said, did you know she was doing this? And he said, yeah, I did, but I only knew from yesterday. Which is true. So that's how I left, and then I went in on the Monday. The atmosphere was horrendous. I hated working the 4 hours. The last half an hour she asked me where I was going. I told her I weren't going anywhere and I was doing it for my health, which was true, mainly my mental health. And that was it. And then they did hound me all week to go in on the following Monday, but I wouldn't back down. They gave me crap, they had me in tears all week, like trying to get me to go back for a day.